my recording. All right, here we go. Good morning. Happy Saturday, everyone. I am so happy to have you here. And we're going to get started with our Essential Emotions class. And I'm not doing a webinar. I'm not doing a PowerPoint because I want you to hear me speak from my heart about emotions and how important they are. So my name is Char Brown. And I'm really glad to have you here this morning on Saturday. I am recording this class because I intend to use it in the future for educational purposes. So let's get started with our emotions. What are essential emotions? And why do we need to be clued into what our emotions are? One of my favorite essential oils that I use for emotions, so I'm going to tell you about my own personal emotional story around this beautiful little essential oil, wild orange. And I'm going to put a little drop in my hand to get started. I'm going to also put a little drop of peppermint. Peppermint. My own story around wild orange happened during a time in my life when I thought my world was kind of collapsing. I'm going to breathe some in. Oh, goodness. That's one of my favorites right there, that blend, wild orange and peppermint together. Oh, my gosh. So uplifting, so enlightening. And wild orange is one of the oils that I use on a regular basis, like almost every day. And the reason why is during a very stressful period of my life, I had been in my doTERRA journey for about 8 months, and I had just hit the rank of gold, and I was still working a full-time corporate job. And I hit the rank of gold in June of 2013, and July 4th, actually I think it was the 3rd, so it was the day before the 4th of July, I got a phone call and I was let go from my corporate job. So you can imagine that there were lots of stressful emotions around that. It was, I had a plan that I was going to continue building my doTERRA business while doing my corporate job so that we could pay off debt and put away a little bit of money. That was my plan. But you know what? God has bigger plans than that. And so when I lost my job, I was very emotional, and I did the first thing that normal people do, and I called a person that's very important to me to have her help me walk through this difficult period of time, and that was my upline, one of my best friends of all time, Rosalie Elliott. She's the person who enrolled me and got me started with oils. So she holds a very special place in my heart, of course. And so I called her and I was talking to her. Well, I texted her first and I said, can we get on a call? Because she's very busy, right? So I wanted to respect her time. And I said, can we get on a call? And she said, you know, of course. But before we get on a call, you need to get the wild orange out. And I was like, why? She says, because wild orange is the oil of abundance, right? I was like, okay. So I got out my wild orange and I did what I just did, because it's so encouraging and so uplifting, and it just makes you feel so powerful, these two essential oils together. So I did. I was talking to her on the call, and she was helping me feel better about my position with doTERRA. And she was breathing life into me and just making me, you know, understand that I could do this as a business and I didn't need a corporate job. It was a very scary time. So another funny thing about wild orange is that I also had, with my severance package that I got from my corporate job when they let me go, I purchased a cute little scanning machine, and I used that machine about 4 days after I had lost my job. So I had ordered it the day that I lost my job. I said, that's it, I got to do something for me. So I ordered the scanner. It showed up on my doorstep on Wednesday, and I lost my job on a Friday. And Russ and I had just come back from our counseling. We were in marriage counseling at the time. So again, like I said, it was a very, very stressful time in our lives. And so we had just come back from their marriage counselor, and he had been telling me, you know, walking me through this, talking to me, and again, speaking into my heart, letting me know that it was all going to be okay, and that God had a plan, and that maybe I needed to take a step back from that corporate person that I thought I was and find my inner child and just become more of who God designed me to be, because he did not design me to be a corporate person. We all know this already now. But anyway, so he asked me to try to figure out how to let my inner child drive for a little while and just kind of enjoy life and find my joy and enjoy it and be fun and be playful again. And so that was what he encouraged me to do. Well, we get home from that, from our counseling, and my scanner was sitting on the doorstep. UPS had brought it. So Russ said, let's scan you. This will be fun. So he gets out the scanner and we hook it up to the computer and I get scanned. And this little beauty right here, Wild Orange, was the oil that I scanned for. Come to find out, it helps the inner child come out to play. And it's also the oil of abundance. It helps our heart just feel abundant and full. Imagine that. Is that crazy? So that was, to that point, I had not paid attention to the emotional side or the emotional aspect of the oils. I was all about the physical part of the oils. I really hadn't been paying attention to the emotional side. So that was when I started my emotions and essential oils journey. This little book, and this isn't even the most recent one, Emotions and Essential Oils, is powerful. I think that it's something that we all need to have in our arsenal, because it just gives you insight into the oils and how they react in our body chemically with our cells. And now let's talk about that, okay? So what I want to ask you, I have some questions that I want to ask you is, would you want to be more happy and connected and feel more empowered in your life, emotionally speaking? I think that is a rhetorical question. I think that everybody will say yes to that question. And so one of my favorite things that I like to say, and I was reminded again of this yesterday, is that we need to feel the feels. God gave us our emotions, good, bad, happy, sad, negative, positive. He put those inside of us. Those are feelings. And he gave us the ability to feel. And we need to stay in that. We need to honor our emotions. We need to go there. We need to deal with it. And the reason why is what I'm about to teach you, okay? Our emotions are so powerful that they can actually cause a physical reaction in our bodies. It's the truth. How many of you have ever had a stomach ache around an emotional event in your life? I have. I've many times that's happened to me. And that is just one indication of how powerful your emotions are. It's emotionally driven. And the thing is, so people nowadays tend to run from that instead of living in it, instead of getting in it and processing those emotions. Because we need to do that. We need to process those emotions. But what I want to show you is that you have the ability, the power to be empowered and use your essential oils like Wild Orange to help you walk through those emotions. Feel the feelings. We're not designed to walk around like numb zombies. And I know it's really easy for us to go to synthetic pharmaceuticals, or for us to go to alcohol or drugs or food. We all have the things that we go to help us deal with our emotions. And I'm here to tell you that we have help in a little teeny tiny bottle. And what it does, what these essential oils do, they're so powerful, and I'm going to explain that in just a couple of seconds. What these essential oils can do for us is they can empower us to actually get in there and deal with the emotions. And there are oils that do these things. And this little book, oops, sorry, I threw it on the floor. This little book, in the back of it, has an index of emotions, of feelings. And so you can go look up the feeling that you're having. Like, I feel unworthy on a regular basis. I think it's just part of who I am, right? I'm wired that way. And so I actually will go to my emotions book and look up the oils for unworthy, unloved. And when I do that and I go find those oils and I get them out, right, and I use them like I just did, I put it in my hands, it helps me feel empowered, and I'm able to now walk through those emotions and feel them, right? We're supposed to feel grief. We're supposed to feel sadness. We're supposed to feel anxiety. It's normal. That comes from fear. Anxiety comes from fear. And so when we feel those feelings, we acknowledge them. And when we acknowledge the way that we feel, the next time we get that feeling, we now know what we can go use to help deal with that feeling. And we can be empowered over it instead of letting it control our lives. Okay? So I'm pretty sure we would all love to feel more empowered, right? And have power over those emotions and not let those emotions drive our lives. Because sometimes, and I'm speaking for me, okay? I'm giving you my insight and perspective on this. I have a tendency, I'm a little bit of an introvert. Shocking. Most people would not know that about me. I'm a little bit of an introvert. I can be extroverted when I need to be, but I am an introvert, and I would rather be at home in my pajamas. I've got my blanket right here on my lap, right? My fuzzy soft blanket. I would rather be at home with my dog and my husband and my grandbabies than be out there doing the things. I get extreme anxiety when I'm called to go do things that I am not, that I don't want to do. And it's fear, it's anxiety that keeps us wanting to stay there. It's our ego not wanting us to get hurt. And so I literally have to use my oils, and I have to talk myself into going and doing the things and leaving the house. I'm being very transparent and very real with you right now. Most people wouldn't know that about me, but I would rather be at home. And I'm going to get a little emotional about that because it's one of my latest introspections that I've learned about me, is that is really who I am. And there's pain in that, right? And so what I want you to do is I want you to feel the feelings. Go there, because there's power in that. When we actually go there, we acknowledge the feelings and we move through it. We now have the power over the feeling, okay? And I talked about this little story that I had. It was about a month ago, and I had bought a ticket to this enormous networking event that was happening here in Loveland. And I tried to get other people to go with me, and I ended up being the only one. And then I found out that I had a friend that was going to be there, and she agreed to meet me before you go in. But that wasn't enough for me to still want to go. I had paid for the ticket, so I bought the ticket. I paid $30 for the ticket, and I got an email earlier that afternoon that said, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be such a great event. We can't wait to see you. There are going to be 750 people there." A 750 person networking event? Are you kidding me? And I'm going alone? So immediately, my heart and my brain went to work battling back and forth. My brain was like, put your big girl panties on, Char. Put your clothes on and go. My heart, on the other hand, was busy trying to protect me and keep me safe. That's what our heart does, right? It tries to keep us safe. And I didn't want to go. And it took everything I had. It took Russ helping me go, you just need to go. You bought the ticket. You know it's going to be good. You know what came out of that? I met some really fun, neat, amazing new people at the event. But even in the parking lot, sitting in the parking lot, before I walked in the doors, I was still trying to talk myself out of going in. Does anybody else deal with this besides me? Right? I think that this is actually pretty darn common. And I think that we all run around, you know, trying to cover our feelings and not acknowledge what actually is going on. And we try to numb them. We try to drink alcohol to make us feel better. You know, alcohol gives us courage sometimes. We take the pills. We do the food. You know, all of these things that we use as coping mechanisms that are not healthy. When you have these beautiful little essential oils that are good for you, that can help you get through these feelings. All right. So why? How do these emotions control us, and how do these little essential oils help us? Okay. Well, you need to know that our body is very, very uniquely created. God created our bodies, and he knew what he was doing, and he gave our bodies the power to help get control over all of these things, right? Our body functions as a whole, okay? There are three things. There is our body, our mind, and our spirit. And they all, or soul, right? Spirit, soul. All of those three things work together in a circle, right? And if one is out of whack, it's going to affect the other two, and vice versa, right? So if your heart and your mind are not right, then it's going to affect your body in a physical way. If your body is not right, it's going to affect your mind and your heart in a not good way, right? Doesn't that make sense? We have a chronic illness, and all of a sudden we've got all these emotions around it. Vice versa, we have all of these emotions that can cause a chronic illness. And we don't have to have that. We can take care of this using our essential oils. So the body, mind, and spirit are inseparably connected, communicating on a cellular level. So they communicate as a whole, okay? And they do that through cells. I keep see my reflection? That's my window right here. So I'm trying to go down here. So our body, the cells in our body actually work together, right? They're all interconnected. They have receptor sites. They stick to one another, right? And so when one cell has a thing, it might affect the other cells all the way around it, right? So we want healthy cells. And our cells are wired to restore health, period, end of story. So when we help our bodies and support our bodies with all natural alternatives, it actually helps our body restore good health, okay? So what I want to teach you today is a little bit of science, which is kind of cool. It's not too sciencey, so don't be scared if science isn't your thing. I want to give you some tools to help you, and I want to help you understand how your mind, your spirit, and your body are all interconnected and work at the cellular level, okay? So get your pens, take a little notes. So what you need to know is emotions are molecules, okay? They're actually messengers. They're molecular messengers, and they go into our cells, right? Our cells have receptor sites on them, and the emotions come into the cell, okay? They're little molecules that carry messages from one cell to another. And so the information that's received into the cell from those emotions control our behavior, they control our energy, but they also control the health of the cells. And they communicate with each other, right? So emotions basically are information carrying molecules, and they react with the cell receptors, okay? And then the cell receptors help the molecules go into the cell, impacting the function of that cell. Pretty simple. I mean, it sounds kind of complicated, but it's really not, right? And so you need to know another thing that's really interesting about our bodies is there's tons of research around this, but we actually have 3 brains. I know it sounds kind of weird, but we have this brain, right? We also have our heart brain, and then we have our gut brain. Okay, so your mind is your logic and your intellect. Okay, and this is what was talking to me. My mind was going, sure, come on, you can do this, right? So my mind is very logical. Your mind is very logical, and it's our subconscious. So our brain, our mind controls our subconscious thinking, and 90% of that subconscious thinking is, we don't even think about it. It just happens. Like your heart beating, you don't think about that. It just happens. The blood circulating through your body, those are subconscious things that your brain controls, right? But your brain also controls your thoughts. Yep. All right, so the heart is the intuition, okay? So our heart, I'm pointing down here to my heart. You can't see it, but our heart is very interesting. Most people think that the brain controls the heart, and it's actually the opposite. This is why when I was having my conversation between my brain and my heart is where my ego resides, and my ego is trying to protect me. My heart is trying to protect me, and that is where our intuition lives, okay? And what's really interesting is that we have neural pathways that run from our heart to our brain to our heart to our stomach, our heart to our brain. All of these things are interconnected. All of our cells have neural pathways, okay? But what's really interesting, the research that they're doing is they're finding that there are more neural pathways that go from our heart to our brain than from the brain to the heart. Most people think it goes the other way, and that's incorrect. So your heart is actually the thing that's controlling your brain and your thoughts. Just contemplate that for a little bit. So when we have heart issues, when we're having issues with forgiveness and anger and resentment, it triggers things in our brain, right? And then our brain goes to work with our cells and says, oh, hey, yeah, you probably should or shouldn't do that, right? So it's a very interesting concept, okay? And then we're going to talk about our gut. Has anyone ever had that gut feeling, that little, I don't know, it's like butterflies, you know, you get in your tummy and you're just like, oh my gosh, I think I feel something down there, right? That's your gut feeling, and you need to pay attention to that. There's a reason. 90% of the body's serotonin, which is the happy, let me help you sleep kind of molecules, comes from your gut. Yep. So if our serotonin, which is the primary hormone that is involved in mood management, is created in our gut, and what if we don't have a healthy gut? How many people struggle with gut issues, digestive problems? I think it's one of the #1 things that people struggle with. And so when you've got that going on, and that is where the serotonin for your good mood comes from, that's where it's created from, does it stand to reason then that you might have some emotional issues going around because of your gut issues? So this is why it's really super important that you heal your gut, that you work on what's going on in your digestion if you're having emotional issues. They're all intermingled, right? Heart issues, gut issues, mind issues, they're all connected. And so we need to take care of all of them and mind the whole body, because the whole body is part of our emotional health. I just think it's really important. So the 3 brains communicate with each other. They feed back information to and from all 3 that influence, in the end, our mind, okay? Super important to understand that. So there are a lot of things that happen, right? So let's think about a normal day, okay? And I'm going to use this example because it's one that I go to all the time, but I think it's really super important for people to hear how this works, okay? So we have life experiences. We have life happening, right? Barking dogs, crying children, and we're trying to talk on the phone or just deal with life, right? And it's that all of those messages are recorded in our subconscious mind, okay? So all that stuff's going on in the background. And then what happens is that we try to process it, and our body's trying to process it, our brain's trying to process it, our heart is trying to process it, and our gut is trying to process it, okay? And then what happens is all of those things together create a physical reaction in our body, okay? And then from those reactions, we create beliefs. So here, I'm going to give you my example of my own personal, I don't have anybody else's testimony, this is mine. Okay, so it was in August of 2016, and I had scheduled this class for a Monday evening, okay? And before that, over the weekend, Russ and I had celebrated an anniversary on August 6th, and we had gone to some wineries, and we were wine tasting and just having a good time. And that weekend, so that Friday and Saturday and Sunday leading into that Monday, my 16-year-old dachshund started to decline very quickly. She had been kind of hanging out, not doing well for about 6 months. And we had recently made a cross-country move, which I think was really hard on her. She had a lot of health issues. She had had surgery when she was 6 years old to remove a disc in her back. They fused the disc. She never really walked right after that. She needed a lot of care. She had been on so many rounds of antibiotics for bladder infections because she couldn't, I had to express her bladder. And so, we woke up on Sunday. I thought she wasn't breathing, and then she was. And so then I kind of hung out with her all day Sunday. And then Sunday night, I slept with her on the floor. I was convinced that she wasn't breathing again when she woke up. And through the night, I kept hearing her like gasp for air. So I would touch her, and she's just very shallow breathing. So I knew Monday morning when we got up, I said, I think we need to go take her in and have her put down because she was just really struggling. And gosh. And so she was my little lap baby, and she would sit in my lap when I worked. So she was just my little BFF. And so it was really hard on me to have to let her go, but I knew it was the right thing to do. And so we did. We called the vet, and we scheduled for her to come in, and we helped her pass. And it was very peaceful, but it was really hard. I was just wrecked emotionally from that. I'm going to get my wild orange going again. Ah, yes. And so that day, the day that we had to have her put down, I had to teach this class. Can you imagine that? And you know what? I think most people would have canceled the class and not done it, but that's not who I am. And I said, you know what? I know that these essential oils can help me with this grief, can help me cope, can help me get through this. And so I got out one of my favorite essential oil blends that is an emotional aromatherapy blend called Console. And I was huffing Console all day long. And I was able to effectively, I went to bed, right? I just laid in the bed and I cried for hours, but I was able to get up that afternoon, fix dinner, and teach that emotions class. And it was powerful. But the thing that was really difficult that caused this emotion, so I had an emotional reaction when we were in the room with my little Molly, when we were putting her down, and I literally felt like I was going to vomit. I had so much emotion that it had created this thing in my gut. You know the feeling, right? And it was as a result of my emotions. And so I know how powerful our emotions are. I know that they can trigger a physical response in our body. And we have the ability to control this, you guys. We really do. And I'm not saying that we need to mask the symptoms, because again, that's what happens when we use pharmaceuticals for our emotions. I'm telling you that you can use essential oils. Feel the feelings, move through the grief and the sadness, find your joy. Did you know that there's joy every single day? And that's a choice that you make, and it comes from the inside out. And I think it's more about being grateful. But we get to control these things. And so I want to encourage you to feel those feelings. I call it feel the feels. Feel the feels, because we need to move through those emotions. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us human beings. It makes us vulnerable. It's part of who we are. It's in our DNA. So one of my favorite essential oil blends that I'm going to talk about is Balance. Okay, and the reason I highlight Balance during this class is because I'm talking to you about the brain and the heart and the gut. Okay, and Balance has frankincense in it, and it's very, very powerful. It's a beautiful grounding essential oil blend. And what Balance does is it's a clarifier and a magnifier that helps open up the mind's eye. Okay, so it works in the brain area, right? It helps us just have an open mind and be grounded. Gosh, you know what? With what's going on in our world today, I think more of us need to have an open mind and not be so judgmental. Just my personal insight there. When you apply Balance to your forehead, it helps open your brain, open your mind's eye, just helps you be a little bit more grounded and not so judgmental. And then it also connects the soul with authenticity. Okay, now I'm talking about the heart, right? And Balance is one of my go-to oils. I use Balance every single day, morning and night, on the bottoms of my feet. Yep, every single day. It is one of my absolute favorite essential oils that I use to support my emotional balance. Because you know what? I'm going to be honest with you, and I have never revealed this before on a webinar. But I had a period of time in my life where I turned to pharmaceuticals for my happy. I did. For about 5 years. I relied on a pharmaceutical medication to help me numb what was going on in my life. Not proud of it, but I think there are a lot of people that deal with this, you guys. And that was before essential oils. It was well before essential oils. I found essential oils about 5 years later. And that's one of my things. I wish I had known about oils then, because I would have made a different choice. Absolutely. So I'm just here to tell you that I know, I am speaking from experience and I get it. But we need to move through the feelings. Because when we do, we come out on the other side stronger for it, right? We're stronger for feeling those emotions. Absolutely. So let's talk about how essential oils influence ourselves, okay? They promote emotional purification and anchor in healthy biochemistry in our cells. They actually do. So essential oils actually penetrate the cell wall, and they get in there. They go into the receptor sites and they get in there, and they can actually help our cells clear themselves out of all the garbage, right? We eat bad foods. That influences our mood, you guys. Sugar is a known toxin. They say that, and I'm a sugar addict. Hello, go figure. Sugar is as addictive as cocaine. It's a fact. And so the essential oils can get in there in our cells and help battle and get all of those toxins out of our cells. And we're going to be healthier and more powerful because of that, right? So oils are chemistry and emotions are chemistry. So it makes sense that they would work very well hand in hand together. And actually, if you want the real deal, I was using essential oils and focusing on essential oils for physical stuff. And in reality, essential oils were first used aromatically. That's what they've been targeted for a long time, is aromatic use. And so what happens when we use essential oils aromatically? We inhale those beautiful aromatic compounds. It triggers the scent receptors in our nose that triggers reactions in our limbic system in our brain. And then it gets processed through the whole rest of our body. Yeah, there are 40 million trillion cells, approximately, give or take a few, molecules in one drop of essential oil. So 40 million trillion molecules in one drop of essential oil. And so you use that essential oil, you inhale all of those beautiful molecular compounds, and they trigger your cells to go to work. And they go to work, and you can literally feel it when you use the essential oils aromatically for mood. So smell is the fastest way to affect mood. I mean, you saw me, I was kind of emotional. I used my orange, inhaled it. and I was able to overcome my emotional trigger. Did you see it happen? It happened right here. You watched it, right? And that is how powerful they are. And that is the fastest way to affect a change in your body, is aromatically. Interesting, right? And then we have topical use. So when we use essential oils topically, we get a different reaction because it's entering our body from the outside. So it's going through the skin, and it has a very similar effect on our body. Those same 40 million trillion molecules that are in a drop of essential oil go to work, but they enter from the outside in. That's another thing to note. Everything that you put on your body, on your skin, gets inside your body. Your body absorbs whatever you put on it. So be cautious. Be careful what you put on, because it's going to affect what goes inside, right? And then internal use of essential oils is a whole different way that we use essential oils, and that is to affect our body from the inside out. So internally, from our mouth all the way down to our urogenital tract. It does everything inside there. So if you have digestive issues, I would recommend that you get on a digestive protocol to help your body feel better from the digestive point of view. And that would be an internal use of essential oils. Yes, when we use them internally, they go inside, and it affects our digestive system. And our digestive system controls 90% of our serotonin, right? I just told you that. So gut is a big deal when we are not feeling our emotions the way that we desire to feel. Okay, so let's talk about a few essential oils that we have. And I have my cheat sheet right here because there's so much going on with this kit. I love, love, love. So if you see me looking down, I am looking at our emotional aromatherapy kit. Okay, so this came out about 2 years ago at convention, and these are my favorites, and I use them frequently, a lot. They are emotional aromatherapy blends. There are 6 of them. And so we have Cheer, which is a blend of citrus oils. Okay, we have Passion, which has it's a very spicy blend. It's got clove and cinnamon, not clove, it's got cinnamon in it, so it's a very spicy blend. And then we have Forgive. So I use Forgive a lot, right? Because forgiveness isn't for them. Did you know that? Forgiveness is for you. When you forgive, you relieve yourself of the burden. It's not for them that you forgive, it's for you. And sometimes we just need to forgive ourselves, right, for being imperfect. Go figure. Yeah. So forgiveness starts at home. It starts with us. And so Forgive is herbs and grasses, and I like to rub that one over my heart and then say a little prayer. So it's a beautiful thing. And then we have Console. And so Console is trees. It's a lot of tree oils, and that is the one that I use when I'm just feeling overwhelmed with grief. And we've had a lot of grief in our life. I mean, I think that's a normal thing. You know, we all have grief that we deal with. We have people that pass away that we love. We have animals that pass that we love. And grief sometimes is about emotions and our relationships, right? Sometimes we're grieving at a relationship that didn't turn out the way we thought it would. And Console is very useful for that. Maybe we lost a job and we're grieving over that. I wish I had had that when I lost my job. It would have helped, right? I also needed Forgive because I had little anger issues going on with that whole situation. So this is where you can see how powerful the essential oil aromatherapy blends are to help you deal with life's everyday situations. The next one that I'm going to talk about is Peace. And oh my gosh, we love Peace. This is a game changer. When you have little kids that are, because the world is hard. It's hard to be a child. I think that we were blessed, or I was blessed to have grown up in the 70s and 80s. I can't even imagine being a child right now in the world the way it is. And so sometimes, you know, for our kids to cope with life, Peace is really, really powerful for them. And so I think Peace and children goes together really well. And I love to use Peace on our little granddaughters, and they're very receptive to it. They love all of the oils. Our granddaughters love the oils. So that's Peace, and Peace is very floral. And then we have Motivate. Motivate is one of my favorite essential oil blends. I like to give it away. I like to give it to people. So if you get a bottle of Motivate from me, don't take it personally, right? It's just a beautiful essential oil blend, and it helps us get the stuff done. When you're feeling in that place where you just can't seem to find the mojo, you can't get your creative juices blowing, try a little Motivate in the diffuser or use it, you know, aromatically, and you will be overcome. One of my favorite stories I'm going to tell my mom. I'm going to tell on my mom. She had a quilt that she was making. She makes beautiful quilts. I have been the receptor of many of her beautiful works of art. And if you ever come to my house, I have them all over the place. But she makes beautiful quilts, and she had a quilt and a deadline, and she couldn't quite find her mojo to get it done. And she sent me a text, and she said, you know what I did? I put Motivate in the diffuser. I made myself a pot of coffee, and I got that quilt done. I was still working on it at 2 in the morning, but I got it done. That is awesome. And that is an example of how we use our oils, right? So when you're not feeling it, I'm going to encourage you to feel the feels. Go there. Deal with the grief and use the Console Essential Oil. If you're having a relationship issue and you're just angry, get out the forgive. Rub it over your heart. Say a little prayer for that person and let it go, because it's robbing you of your joy, right? And we need to feel the feels in our lives so that we can find the joy, because life really is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to wake up on the right side of the grass every single day. Trust me, I don't want it the other way. So those are our emotional aromatherapy blends, and I love them, love them. They're stashed everywhere in my house. They're in my kitchen oils box. They're in both of my bathroom oil boxes, because you just never know. There's an oil box sitting over here on this that's got the Motivate and Passion in it. And it's my oil box that goes with me to classes. So there you go. So anyway, those are our emotional aromatherapy blends. And so one of the things that you do with the emotions is you either breathe it in or massage it topically, or put it on other areas for localized support. So if it's a mind issue or a heart issue or a gut issue, you're going to put the oil topically, or you're going to inhale it to help all of those different areas, right? So I just have a couple of more things that I want to talk about with you, and that is, I just want to encourage you to use your essential oils for your emotions. And if you have people in your life who are struggling, share an oil with them and help them learn how to use oils to their benefit. They're beautiful when we use them emotionally. And I just want to encourage you to send me an email. You can reach me at char@charleneabrown.com. If you want to send me an email in response to this, or if you're my friend on Facebook, you can send me an inbox message. If you have any questions about any of this that I've covered, let me know. The last thing I want to say is that if you don't have oils in your life and you are looking to add oils to your healthy lifestyle, then let me know, because I can help you, A, learn how to use them, and B, learn how to become a wholesale member so that you can purchase them at a discount. So I hope that you go and make it a great Saturday, and I thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. All right, thank you for joining. Bye-bye.